And so what I want to do is to share with you that story of transformation. From a mask that looks like this to a mask like this, and what that all meant. And I'm going to share that in the form of a poem. Who knew the best speeches could be made possible by math teachers? Angles and proofs, right and wrong. Numbers worked easily for others, but they frustrated her, and they still do. Horses and buggies, fields of corn, not shopping malls and commuter trains. They didn't know Starbucks, and they didn't know her past. Her dad lost his job. The family had to move from New York to Ohio. She was a sophomore in high school, crying as they packed childhood memories, painful struggles disappear through the window behind her as they move west. In an office, they talked. The girl, her mom, a woman with the last name Yoder. She wasn't Amish, but she was a really nice lady. She looked at the girl and she said, "I've heard your story, you've told me about your past, but there doesn't seem to be any real medical concerns anymore. I'm wondering if maybe you want to keep this to yourself and not tell everyone else, since you're the new girl." Was that a possibility? Was it possible that she didn't have to be the girl who had cancer? That she could have possibly a normal high school experience? One decision made it possible, and so it went. She was able to put that mask away and hold it just close to herself. But first, she was alone. She was isolated. She sat in a music practice room to avoid the cafeteria at lunch. She cried and she was sad. How do you make friends? But then there was discovery. There were lunch friends and real high school memories. There was band, mock trial, honor roll, student council, a boyfriend, a breakup, a boyfriend, a breakup, another boyfriend. High school was possible for her. And then there was another opportunity. Valedictorian. Something that wasn't possible for her in New York was possible in Ohio. She could be the top of her class. She could see that it would look good on a college resume, but it meant something else. It meant that she got the chance to give a speech. A captive audience for the first time, a dream. But A squared plus B squared meant nothing to her. She doesn't want to do it, she doesn't care, but she has to care to get that A. A false desire to learn, however, does not really result in knowledge. It nearly takes away the opportunity to impart wisdom. Time is ticking. The teacher doesn't like her, she doesn't like the teacher. They push and pull, but she doesn't want to let her see her cry. But then the words fall out. "Mrs. Gowdy, I need to give this speech. I need to be the valedictorian." The light fades and the night wears on as she works to learn numbers so that she can share words. Pencil is hard at work. Time, again, is running out, and only she remains. She labors over each question on the test. The teacher, the woman, the compassionate, looks over her shoulder, taps on 2 of the numbers. "Try again," she says, and walks away. The girl stands, and the red pen in the woman's hand is the only possible green light, the only possibility that she could give that speech. A smile forms, and with the upward angle, the numbers turn to words. The speech can be written, and it is easy. She begs to speak last. She stands in the English classroom before graduation and reads it to her closest friends. They hug her, they cry. She's worried that she won't be able to read it in front of a big group of people, to share her real story. But the teacher says she will. It's a story in third person, much like the one that I'm telling you now. And she stands up at graduation to give it. As she looks out on the crowd, she realizes that the speech is really for some other people. The speech is for Paul, Lisa, Kim, and Deirdre. It's for them. Those who say it can never be done should not get in the way of the people doing it. I want to tell you the story of a girl. She's a senior too, like all of us. But 7 years ago this week, she sat on the sidelines at recess. Leukemia. Soon she was laying helpless in a bed in coma on life support. An experimental stem cell transplant was needed to save her life. She lost 40 pounds, her long brown hair, and nearly all confidence that she would ever be a normal high schooler. They tried to avoid thinking about the calculated 5% survival rate. But she was different. Her hair soon grew back. She went back to school. But as if surviving cancer wasn't enough, she had a new obstacle to face. The medicine that had saved her life had also left its mark. She found herself again sitting on the sidelines and in pain. Soon she was diagnosed with a rare hip condition. After 3 grueling surgeries and a year on crutches, by the time she was a freshman in high school, she looked normal. She felt normal, aside from a slight limp and a huge smile. But everyone around her knew her past. She would always be the girl who had cancer. She knew that they looked at her, and behind her back they talked about her, all still afraid. Teachers seemed to know her story before her personality. She cried herself to sleep at night, wondering if she would ever get to be a normal kid, to have a boyfriend or get the grade she truly deserved. And then her prayers were answered in the strangest of ways. Her dad lost his job, and the family was forced to move to a new state. New faces welcomed her, new faces that only knew her as the girl from New York. Her circle of friends grew, each one unaware of her past. Her choice was to keep it a secret, not because she didn't trust them, but because she just wanted to be a normal kid. On her 5-year anniversary of being cancer-free, she celebrated silently with those at home and in New York. And here she is, being thankful and being valedictorian to boot. Against all odds placed against her, she rose up. She would like to thank her classmates for letting her be the normal kid she always dreamed of. For a cancer survivor, normal seems impossible. So to the class of 2003 in West Holmes High School, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you haven't figured it out yet, that girl is me. As you continue on in your life, I hope you learned something with me. If anyone ever tries to stand in your way, you need to look at them and say, step aside. This is my life, and I'm going to live it my way. At the very end of the speech, she thanked the crowd and her classmates for giving her that experience that she'd always hoped for helping her live the dream. But what made this heartfelt thank you really stand out were those words. If you haven't figured it out yet, that girl is me. There was tears, applause, movement, people stood, people questioned, people congratulated. It's hard to believe that 2 questions on a white sheet of paper in a math classroom stood between this girl and that speech. And to this day, I still wonder if she earned it. That story tells a lot about me. because it is my story. And I stand in front of you in class, and I wear a glittering mask. And I talk about learning for learning's sake and not doing. But the truth is that we have sometimes uglier masks in our past. And for me, that experience of being a high schooler and just working so hard to get that grade just to have some experience is something that I've struggled with as a teacher in helping you all through your journeys in school. This mask, of course, is not my favorite thing by any means. But learning how to share this mask and to think about what this mask really means helps me to understand who I am. And when you're in a situation, when you can look back on your life and you can think about the people, the choices that you made at different situations and moments in your life, you're able to make some discoveries about the future. Because when you're in a setting like this, or when you have good friends and you get to talk about these things that you've experienced, in a sense, they've always been hanging around your neck. But when you talk about them and you share them, you're able to hold them at a distance. And when you look at these things at a distance, it means that you can take them from your neck and instead put them in your heart. Because who we are at every moment in our life and the decisions we've made will be with us, and they're a part of us. But it means, and it helps us to understand, that every point from this point forward, we have the opportunity to make a choice and to be someone new. And so as I stand here today with all of you, and I talk about giving a TED Talk, it doesn't have to do with the fact that you have to have a stage, or you have to have an audience, or you have to have something to record it so that people can see it long after you're gone. Because each of us are special and amazing, and we have things, we have masks that we're not proud of, but maybe gave us protection at times. And we have dreams that maybe were false, but mysterious. And we have the right to share those and honor them, because who we are amazing people, and we don't need someone on a stage to give us the permission to share who we are. We owe it to ourselves to discover that. And so that's what we're going to do next. You're going to think about your life graph and those points on that life graph and who you were at that moment. What feelings and emotions did you have? What ways can you describe yourself? By sharing my story with you, I think of myself not necessarily as a coward or someone who couldn't get the right grade for the right reason, but instead it offered me the opportunity to be honest. And so I invite you to have the opportunity to do that now. And I know that it's hard to share sometimes with yourself or with others, and so the song that you're going to listen to and the lyrics that are in the book explain that a little bit more. And I hope that you can all have the same type of liberating experience I had when I went from one mask to another.